One of my older friends has asked me, write down 5 things you like. I wrote alcohol as number 1 because I really like alcohol. I have started like a movement, a foundation called Mr. Barton and the Crew, where we train women and members of the LGBTQ community.
Right.
Like you have to live heavyweight, plus you have to have a brain, plus you have to have common sense, plus you have to smile all the time to people, plus you have to be very courteous towards your peers. My thing is, do you know how to work with women behind a bar?
Right.
Are you going to be egoistic? Are you going to be like a mansplaining kind of a person? I break down these things. You have no idea how much. Like, why am I making this drink and why do I put lime and sugar?
Basically understanding why the drinks are made a certain way, why they taste a certain way.
That is it.
Hello everyone, I'm Nikita Daniel and we are back with another episode of What's the Point Season 2. And today I think I have with me one of the most interesting profession, according to me at least. It's a bartender, yes, and before your parents cancel us, please hear us out. This is not just us pushing people to make bad decisions, but this is the art behind the profession. So that's what we are promoting, guys, not bad decisions. So today I have with me Favoretto and they're a bartender and they'll be talking with us about how one can actually go ahead and pursue this profession without their parents judging the fuck out of them. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I have started like a movement, a foundation called Mr. Barton and the Crew, where we train women and members of the LGBTQ community.
Right.
And every bar that I consult for, like bar consulting is actually a job.
Right.
And so what I do is basically I take on bars like that you go to and drink and eat and stuff. And like the kitchen and the design aspect of it, we start with that and then move on to training and working with brands and training the staff and coming up with a menu and then obviously introducing that to people and making something out of it. So that's basically my job in a nutshell.
All right. And since you said you're a bartender, I think I've also heard a little bit about something called mixology and mixologist.
Yeah.
So if you could just give us the difference between or what exactly these two terms are.
So the thing is, when people broadly and like very broadly say mixologist and then bartender, and I genuinely always call myself a bartender. It's always been like that. It's been like that for the last 18 years now. I've started off obviously understanding the basics of the bar and then moved on to exploring ideas of mixology in terms of why I am doing something or it's the science behind what exactly you're doing in the bar. Like, why am I making this drink and why do I put lime and sugar? Why do I put, why is there some drinks that are only like bitter and sweet? Why? So it's the why to the what you're doing.
Right. So it's basically understanding why the drinks are made a certain way, why they taste a certain way.
That is it. And then also, when you move on to the advanced level of like, you know, bringing in like kitchen techniques and bringing in fat washes, you must have heard these terms. And like, for example, clarifications. It's like, sometimes people do it and then we do not understand why they do it. So there's a theme that runs throughout the menu. For example, if it's a Japanese style menu, right? It's very simple, very subtle, but very impactful in terms of the taste. But it looks very dainty.
Right.
It's not too much. Then an Indian drinks menu will be very loud and very flavorful. You know, that's the difference. But what goes into creating that, like using tamarind puree versus making a caviar out of it, or deconstructing a pina colada, for example, and then you know, using that technique to make a different kind of a flavor profile. That moves into like a more scientific way of doing what we're supposed to do. So that basically is the difference, I feel, according to me, in
bartending and mixology. And how did you land up as a bartender? Like, was that something you always wanted to do, or it just came about?
I was studying something else altogether.
Right.
Okay. I was doing a combination of like understanding how to code and understanding how to studying journalism, for crying out loud. That's what I was doing in Bangalore. Okay. I had a roommate who was in hotel management, IHM Bangalore.
Okay.
And I was very keen on understanding how this works. And like, you know, because every time I came home, she was always studying wine and whiskey. And then like they would do tasting sessions and like this and that. I was like, wow, this is such an interesting thing.
Right.
But more importantly is after I started studying, I didn't know what to do. As all young people, you don't know what to do, right?
We've all been.
And I didn't even know that I would be in this position, or I would know how to pay taxes, or I would understand all these things, because obviously school never teaches you this. But so one of my older friends asked me, write down 5 things you like to do,
Right.
okay, and then maybe start with one.
Correct.
So I wrote alcohol as number 1 because I really, really like alcohol. Like even till date, I love it. Like it's one of my favorite things. And then came video games, then came music. All of that came later.
Yeah.
So she was like, why don't you start working in all these aspects? I was like, how will I work with alcohol now? I don't know what to do with this alcohol situation, right? So I said, okay, let me see what to do in this whole space. So then I asked a couple of my friends, like, hey, how do I go about this? And I asked my cousin and all. He's like, why don't you come and start working with me in the bar?
Yeah.
Right? And before he did that, he came to to my college and he did like this flare thing. But now when I started flaring, I was like, dude, I cannot do all this bottle stuff. But I was interested in more of like, I would like to like make different kinds of things and make different kinds
More
of
about the
drinks.
concussions.
Yeah, and because I like alcohol so much, like I would drink. And it's my family also. My grandmother also drank. She used to have radish pickle and drink like martinis. So I already knew the construct of what cocktails were and stuff at an early stage in life. And then while that progressed, I was like, okay, you know, maybe I want to get into this. And then I wanted to start cooking as well.
Right.
So I did like a small diploma course where I understood how to cook, and then I went into the kitchen. Then I was like, no, the kitchen is too hectic. Then maybe I should go to the bar. And then I really liked the bar because you get to talk to people, you get to, I mean, it was just, you know, you just know that something's meant for you. You just know like that is what it is, you know. And then I was like, back in the day, like in my time, our salaries were like 2,000, 3,000 rupees, okay?
Like a month?
A month.
For the whole month.
And then you have obviously your tips and your service charge, but I'm like, okay, now how to earn this money and be passionate and then like, and also live my life, because I was staying away from home. I didn't have like, you're in survival mode, right?
Right.
So I was like, let me try both of them, which is why I have the dark circles. So I would work in the day. I would work, I was working in a gaming company where I would like do game development stuff and earn my money. And then in the night, I would go and
your passion.
I would work in the bar. And I did that for so many years. Like so many years, till 2017. Like I traveled a lot, learned a lot of things, to a lot of bars, would intern with a lot of bartenders in other countries, learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually I came back and then I decided to move to Goa and just start something there.
Yeah. So
then,
you operate out of Goa basically.
Yeah, I started, and then everyone thinks I'm from Goa, but I'm actually not. I'm actually from Bombay.
Okay.
From Bandra. And yeah, I was like, you know, let me just give this everything I have. And at that time, I also felt like there was a lot of like misrepresentation. There were no like people like me. I wouldn't see people like me. There were only guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were really nice. It was really nice to work with everyone. It's not like I had issues or problems and this. I mean, obviously, there is this general thing where like, you know, I mean, obviously you can't carry 5 cases and go up and down, and a guy can. But no, I had to do it like, because it was a thing that I had to prove myself for some
I think
reason.
we just have it. No,
Yeah.
you want
But
to
you
prove
did it,
yourself.
like, you know,
People
you
are going
worked
to
hard,
put you down like that. You will come out.
Yeah, and then I
yourself.
felt like there was no representation, and I felt like there had to be some kind of boost in terms of, there were no women. Unfortunately, you know, the Jessica Lal case, right? Because of that, a lot of people didn't get work. There are still cases, there are still places in our country that do not allow women to work behind bars.
Oh.
Like, they don't, you know, because of this whole situation that happened. So that also became another, like, okay, now what, you know? So then you become a minority, and I was like, okay, maybe what if I just trained people and then they just went and did their own thing.
Of course.
And that's basically how this thing came up. And then my partner Daria joined hands with us, and it's like a non-profit thing. So we were just training people, giving them the knowledge just to kind of, you know, like say that, hey, you know, there is an option to do this. You can earn money doing this. And we figured out ways to kind of make sure that people earn well every month. We did that. So that's like, how it started.
So initially it was a struggle earning money. Like any offbeat profession, as I feel like.
Yeah.
And then later on, once you start building yourself, then you really start getting
like
into
you
the
have to
money.
be at it. Like, you know, like any job, like there is no time that I have to waste. Like I am
Right.
waking up in the morning, I'm thinking about my work. I'm going to sleep, I'm thinking about my work. I am a workaholic. There is no time. I mean, I believe that if you have to make a change, you have to work doubly and triply hard. And this is an industry that's very hard, you know. There's
Right.
no time for like, to waste. And I don't like wasting my time. And I used to waste my time a lot in the past. And
Yeah.
now I just, I feel like if you have to like do anything, like you have to put like your whole and soul and everything into it till you accomplish what you
Right.
accomplish.
Like since yours has been like quite a journey.
Yeah, it has.
If someone like has to actually go ahead and pursue mixology or bartending, how can one go about it? If you could.
I
Just
mean,
break
there
that
are
down
many
for us.
schools that a lot of my friends have. There's Cocktails and Dreams.
Mhm.
There's Tally-Ho. There's Cooperage. There are a lot of places in Bombay. There are a lot of places
Alright.
outside Bombay. If people want, they can reach out to me and I can train them. I have a different way and a different method.
Right.
Where
So
they
you
write to
teach
me.
yourself
Yeah,
as well.
but
You
we
have
do a
your
training
own.
on the job.
All right.
Where you basically, there's a different way we do it. We do not like have like a special training session and then induct you. We basically take you
Right.
on and we're like, okay, this is how it works. We take 1 month to train you and then you're on the job. So you learn like
Right.
fast and you learn on the job.
And
That's how I
apart
do
from that, if someone has to pursue a formal education, do they have to go for an hospitality course?
It depends. Like you could you could do like your whole IHM and then pursue this degree. You could also just do the bartending thing, but it depends
Right.
on where you want to go with it. If you want accreditations and you want to leave the country, then collecting certifications and collecting like say for example, even if you do WSET is kind of like a global recognition
Okay.
where you learn about spirits and wines. So that is another added accolade. And the more accolades you kind of get, the better you kind of get paid and the better places also
you can
hire
work.
you.
Okay, and so like when it comes to hiring, like I understand for any general other, corporate based job or a mainstream job, it's mostly like, yeah, you send in your resumes, you get calls for interviews, and they have their own procedure. What is hiring like for
It's
a
the same
bartender?
thing. We get references. We get since we're all connected in a small industry. When I put out a post and a lot of people write to me,
Right.
then I start betting as to whether. Then we do a background check, and we do a very serious background check because you cannot just hire anybody. We have to
Right.
check if they have like a criminal history, whether they have how they behave with women, These are my things. It's not about how
Right.
good you are. My thing is, do you know how to work with women behind the bar?
Right.
Are you going to be egoistic? Are you going to be like a mansplaining kind of a
Right.
person? I break down these things. You have no idea how much. Like I try to like build. Like in one of my bars, I have a trans woman working
Yeah.
along with, and she's doing a fantastic job. And I have obviously people from the community representing. Now, to balance both those worlds is like, so I have to play like a different kind of a role to kind of sensitize that whole thing. And today I must say that there are 2 or 3 bars that we've done where this problem never occurs, because while you're good at your work and while you're good at everything, then you have these, these guys who are like very like, it's very like internally, like it's small little, like obviously politics exists everywhere.
Of course.
But you have to train yourself on how to deal with these situations.
Right.
Right? Like in school, they don't teach you how to deal with anxiety and heartbreak, right? Similarly, they don't teach you all this. You'll get skilled. You can get
Right.
skilled. But how do you deal with people? How do you work with people? That's more important. in
Right. It's
hospitality.
also more of a people job because
Yeah.
you're constantly in touch with people. There's
And then you
only-
have like, you have to be like you have to live heavyweight, plus you have to have a brain, plus you have to
Right.
have common sense, plus you have to smile all the time to people, plus
Right.
you have to be very courteous towards your peers, plus you have to please,
Right.
like in our time we had like this very annoying boomers like who were like, I mean, I feel like as millennials we're like stuck in the middle of both the generations.
Right.
So we know this side and we also know this side. And then, I have so many of my friends complaining today and they're like, nowadays I don't know how to make them. But all my students and everyone I know, they're all like 20s,
Yeah.
they're like between 29 to 24. And I think if there is a way to kind of work with people, because when we were working 19-hour, 18-hour shifts, getting peanuts,
Right.
and also get like very strict, not strict environments, more politically inclined environments, which are not very you know, like I personally left at one point because I was like, I can't work around this
Yeah.
hostile kind of weird kind of mansplaining, like, hey, like, you know,
Right.
you don't know what you're doing kind of. I left and then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it properly. So then that made me very, like, don't mess with me. Like, it made me like a don't mess with me kind of person.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so do you think these formal trainings are also very, since it's a very male-dominated society, do you think, like the profession in itself, do you think most of the formal educations or trainings that, you know, are structured, they are structured more towards men or
I don't think that is the case. I think now things have changed a lot from what it used to be.
Right.
And I'm very happy to see so many more vibrant people joining, so
Right.
many more, you know, like people saying, hey, I want to be in the kitchen, or I want to be in the bar, I want to do service.
Right.
Because we were really, like, in the past, I've never seen any one of my peers. I mean, one of my best friends, yeah, she's a brewer now. But willingly, I didn't see it. But now I see that change happening. And also, I think the hospitality industry also and the restaurant associations are working on, you know, obviously, like when people get paid, they are working on obviously getting people paid more money and different ways to get them that money. But the main thing is, whenever there's a problem, the government is so hard on us. There are so many rules, so many taxes, like the excise rules, the you know, there are so many rules, like the kind of licenses. Like if you start a bar, if I tell you how much money you need just to start a bar, and then go through that rigmarole, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is like. But there are so many people who have done it and are so successful and are doing so well that those people become inspirations for us to do better and understand these things better. And, you know, like I'm also like, I never ever thought like, okay, one day I'll start a bar, but I am now thinking about this because those people have inspired me. There's so many people out there.
So it is a very tedious process if someone like has done a formal education, has, you know, like collected whatever accolades you've mentioned.
Yeah.
And then they have to start a bar, then it's again a process.
Of
a whole
course,
process
it is.
for them as
It's
well.
one of the most, but when you do it and you win,
Right.
that feeling is like something else altogether, you know.
So this process that you are talking about, this from, you know, getting the license and everything, if it's just something that is so difficult in India itself, or have you seen it anywhere outside?
It is different. It depends on what country and where you are. You know, Western countries obviously they've had it easier, better, but everywhere there's a challenge. It's a different type of challenge.
Right.
But it's different. There, for example, if you're studying in college or if you're passed out from college and you're doing 3-4 jobs, a bartender's job is part and parcel of it. Like you will opt like, okay, I'm going to work in a McDonald's, I'm going to work, because you have to work 4-5 jobs to survive there, right? So it comes very naturally. And then from that, a lot of people build and get there. Yeah, but it is tedious everywhere.
It is. Makes sense. And
But in our country, the excise rules and the excise policies, I wish that we could calm down on the licenses because it's a bit too much, I feel. But that's just me.
So, if someone has to pursue, like given, I think the rules and everything that we have in our country are also very age-based now because, you know, we are very strict when it comes to the aging
like women can't
policies.
work beyond 10:30.
Oh,
That's also a rule everywhere.
Here, everywhere?
In our country. There are some states that even say that women can't work behind the bar. Some states still have it, but people still do it.
Yeah.
Then if a lady is working in the hospitality premises post 10:30, then there has to be a pick up and drop. And the excise also is very strict about this. Like the excise doesn't register still. Like they have something called Naukarnama. They do not register women working behind the bar still.
Oh.
You know, it's different. I don't know. I mean, I still have to deep dive into why and what this happens to make like a different kind of a, you know, like a protest about this. But right now, yes, I'm too busy right now. But yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. You spoke about how the rules and everything here are very stricter if it comes to formal education. If someone wants to pursue a formal education or even like informal one or go to some courses or something, what is the right age a person here in India can start that?
So when I started working when I was 17, 18.
Right.
18 is when I started.
Yeah.
But now the rules have changed. I think now you have to be about 25
25.
or 21 to 25 to kind of
So
work
one cannot
behind the bar.
pursue a career, like if they have to like start studying or something. So
When
what
you
is-
start studying, you can start like after your college.
Right.
After 11th, 12th, you can join hotel management. After
Right.
that, you can, they have hotel management courses. After that, you can do a
Okay.
bartending course. And then you can kind of get a placement and stuff like that. These
Right.
people usually
So
have.
is there an age bar for the bartending course? Because does it also involve?
It has to be 18 and above.
Anna? That must be. Okay. And if someone has to really pursue it, what would you recommend? Would it be more of a formal study, go for a formal study, then go ahead, do courses, internships and stuff? Or one can directly join and, take up an
If you
informal
want to, you can reach out to me and I will see where I can place the person. It's a very hard line, trust me, but I will help you. And you can directly reach out to me on my Instagram, Mr. Bartender and the Crew, if you're looking out for work. If not, you can join any hotel management school like the other catering or whatever. If you don't want to do that, there's Cocktails and Dreams and Cooperage in our city that you can reach out to.
Okay, so there are both options for
Yeah.
people. People can pursue, if they want to pursue, take a formal course,
Yeah.
they can go for a formal course. And there are other courses available as well, like you mentioned, you have, and other people in Mumbai and other states as well. All right. And apart from that, what is life like to you behind the counter?
Behind the counter. I've not gone behind the counter in a really long time because now I train people to be behind the counter.
Okay.
But what is life like? It's not tiring. I enjoy
Yeah.
I just enjoy my work. I love meeting new people every day.
Right.
I love spending time with my team. I take them out. We live like we're a family. All the bars that I do, and that's it. That's how I live my life.
Yeah.
And there's just no time for anything else. So
So
I have
so
no
is there?
other
So I don't think I
things.
can even question about a work-life balance here.
Oh, I mean, other people should maintain work-life balance.
Right.
For me, my work is my life.
I
And
think-
I want to take over the world. So if you are like me, then you work all the time. If you're not like me, then you can go to the beach, you can take holidays. But I only have this time right now.
Right.
And once I'm done with this, I have a plan. By the time I'm 45, 50, I do have a plan on what I
Right.
have to do. But till then, for me, it's hard work.
Yeah.
There's no
Makes sense.
excuses.
True, makes sense. And how do you deal with, I think, like being someone, since you teach right now, but like even in your earlier days or other people who bartenders, like I'm sure you must get a lot of people who are like really weird. Do you get
Horrible.
any horrible
Oh, yeah.
treatments? Any
I mean, I have
weird
just
stories?
recently actually experienced something so hardcore. I was working on a project, made a wrong hire because obviously I think sometimes from my heart.
Yeah.
Two guys, man. It's a horrible experience. Like it happens, where that's why I never look at the resume.
Right.
Because if I want to work with you, I will make you work for a week or two without any pay because to see whether you're worth it or not.
Right.
Because when I look at the resume and it looks impressive and you hire the person, then you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
And I made a very bad hire where it can seriously affect your work because
Right.
hiring the wrong kind of candidature will lead to your clients thinking whether you're capable or not.
Right.
And then that's a whole different ballgame altogether. And that, because of their mistakes, you don't get work.
Right.
And they do not understand that.
Of course.
Right? And then it is almost as if that I would like to banish them from everything that I know, but I cannot do that also because at the end of the day, they are young, right?
Right.
But it does affect it. And it's not a small thing when...
Having said that, what would be certain qualities that you would look in a bartender, or you think that a bartender should really have these particular set?
What I look at for a bartender is to work as like me. Like if I'm hiring somebody, I would want somebody to work like me. And touch wood, I have met some very beautiful people who are very dedicated to their work and very dedicated, but there's a whole bunch of other people. That's why I said it's very important the kind of people that you hire. And you have to be very particular about it.
So
there
what
are
are
lots of
those-
people, reach
what
out to
are
me,
the-
we need a bartender, we need a bartender. In the hurry, they'll hire some random people, but then it's like, I don't like to suggest also because I don't know how good they are, how
So like any particular, skills you really, not
loyalty, skill and all you can teach, but
Right.
values you can't teach anybody.
May-
So it's like basic values, etiquettes, all these things I look for. skill, I know what I can
Right.
do to make you go up there.
Right.
But if you don't have this, then I don't want to.
Makes sense.
Like I will.
So it's
like,
really
if you-
more about where a person comes from, what a person, how people
you
treat,
are,
how you
actually.
treat people.
It's
maybe.
simple things: loyalty, common
Right.
sense. Two things actually.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just two things that people need.
Right.
Because if I get work, there's a reason why somebody will hire me, because I will go all out for them.
Of course.
Right? And what is that? That is common sense, and there is loyalty
Right.
to a person. You will never let the person down or whatever. So
Right.
that is the thing.
And do you also get, now this is more about the bartender where you really, have to, now that's something you can change as a mentor for them. कि अच्छा ये नहीं ये करो. But what do you do, or how do you deal with situations where the clients are not really cooperative, where they are rude, or do you even
Touch wood, I've always had the gift of changing that situation around
Yeah.
or turning it around. And I've been very successful at doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm a people's person. So I've never really, in all my years, touch wood, I have never really had like there are times where like I have clients who become such good friends. Like I got a message from somebody right now saying that I'm coming down, I want to see you.
Yeah.
And this is what I do. Like I just
Right.
become friends with everybody.
So it's more about just building a connection with people,
and you have
it's all going to work
and that is
out.
also very important. It doesn't happen just like that, but it's how
Right.
you make people feel comfortable.
Right.
It's what level are you going to go at? Like sometimes when people are complaining at the bar, like right now I'm working at a bar where sometimes we get overbooked, and then people are like, and then my managers also be like, you just talk to them.
Yeah.
They're and somehow I'll bring up some conversation and I'll be like, I'll just divert their minds from what they're angry about,
Right.
and then I'll be like, hey, can I get you I'm going to get you some shots and I will drink
Right.
it with you, and then automatically you change. the
So
whole-
that's so like bartenders can do that. Like, listen, it's on the house.
It's not everybody, or not
everyone.
everyone. Only
Yeah.
only I have that. Only management has the ability to do
Okay,
that.
so like, guys, if you're pursuing, you cannot give out free drinks.
Till you
Yeah.
reach a level, or you reach out to your manager if you need. If there is a person from the industry who comes to the bar, then we do. We have a rule where there's one drink free or a
Right.
meal free because you're coming from the industry. That we make sure. I make sure that we do that.
That's very.
So if you're working in another bar and you come to my bar, one of your drinks is free.
Oh, that's sweet. That's very sweet, actually. And what about working in an environment where people are going to be really sloshed most of the times?
Oh, it's damn good fun.
Yeah. So does it ever cause any ruckus?
many times.
How does that get managed then? Like even as a bartender, do you just cut out people's drinks or something?
Yeah,
Like,
when we
yeah,
know
we are
that you're
not-
too drunk and you keep asking for shots, we don't give you.
Yeah.
We do not.
It's a
encourage
call
them.
the bartender takes.
Yeah,
then.
it's how you navigate the situation.
Right. So it's more. From what I'm understanding, the profession is mostly about understanding. You have to like really be
Yeah. You have to
alert.
really
you have
be-
to,
yeah,
because
you-
there is always going to be people around you.
Correct.
And interesting. I think you need to be. I think this is one of the skills I would like to put out for people, that you have to really.
It's a lot
really
of
be,
skills that you need to
Yeah.
to do
That's
this.
true, actually, because you're managing so much
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah,
time.
but you learn so much also. You learn how to like talk to anybody and anyone, and that's very important. You know.
And that's a very cute little skill. I feel.
Yeah, it is an important
Being able
skill.
to just befriend anyone
Yeah,
is
exactly.
very cute.
And treat everyone the same way. That's how I do
Exactly.
it.
So, Faye, we have a little game segment for
Okay,
you,
okay.
where I'll be asking you a few silly questions from the internet. These are the most searched questions about your profession.
About my profession. Okay.
Yes. And you don't have to like take them seriously or like answer them very seriously.
Okay.
Silly questions, doubts that people have,
Okay.
people doing people. So I think this is a very funny question even. Do bartenders actually spit in the drinks of the customers if they are
No.
rude?
No. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm very nice to the servers because I don't know what's happening.
So they are not rude. Yeah, I think if you are not rude to them, they won't be rude to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the key, guys. How do you memorize all the drink recipes?
I have a formula actually.
Yeah.
I have a formula that I've dissected all of them, and with that formula, it becomes easier.
So everyone has their own way of. So you don't forget any ingredient sometimes.
No.
I think it comes with practice. Good memory, guys. Another quality is good memory if you want to be a bartender. Do you ever forget an order and just make a drink on your own?
No, never happened till date. I'm too proper about my stuff.
And
In the past, has it happened? No, I don't recall. I don't think so.
Okay. This is a very, very silly question, I think. Do you shake the cocktail for taste or just a dramatic effect?
We shake the cocktail actually. There are three techniques, right? There's a throw, there is something called throw, there's something called stirring, and there's something called shaking. So now I'm going to get technical a little bit. Shaking is basically to get, so when you put lime and sugar together with whatever else that you're putting in, to get uh, to get air in it, to get the cocktail very cold, to make sure that the binding. Have you had soda, lime soda, fresh lime soda just built up, and have you had it shaken? You understand the difference? Yeah. There's a lot of air in it. There's a lot of life in it. So to give life to that drink, that's why we shake the drink. When it's only stirred, it's a spirit forward drink. Like for example, like a Negroni, it only has spirits. It's only for dilution and to keep the drink cold. That's why we stir. Throw is basically when we use thick juices like guava, tomato, and we want to retain the flavor, and we do not want it to be so thick. That's why we do it throw.
Okay. If someone orders a Long Island iced tea at 4 p.m., do you immediately judge or just say
No,
a
I am
silent
very
prayer?
happy. I'm not a big fan of the Long Island Iced Tea, but it's up to you. It doesn't matter what day or what time you're drinking. If you feel like drinking, drink. But don't drink too much and hydrate yourself. And there are ways to drink. Like even I drink, but there are ways to get healthy. There are ways to balance it out. You know, like that's very important. And always eat something while you're drinking or before or after. Eat a spoon of butter. Don't drink empty stomach. It will make you feel sick.
Right. Tips for you guys. Please note it. If someone asks for a surprise me drink, how tempted are you to give them just water and a mint?
No, I really work hard on giving them something that will really blow their minds away, actually.
That's so sweet. And I have a little if you had to categorize or like assign a certain drink to a particular generation, which would it be? For boomers,
Singapore sling.
millennials,
Suffering bastard. There's a drink called suffering bastard.
Gen Zs.
Again, suffering bastard.
I think Gen Zs are millennials are in a very close.
Yeah. Millennials, I think martinis.
Oh, classic. And I don't think these Gen Alphas are allowed to drink, but
No, but they are very sensible. They already know about non-alcoholic spirits and stuff. So there are placebos where you have like sober gin, sober's a brand, but you have non-alcoholic gin and non-alcoholic vodka also coming up. So yes, they can explore drinking non-alcoholic placebo-driven.
that's interesting. That was all, Faye. That was all. Thank you so much. So that was all on today's episode, guys. I hope this episode has helped you clear some misconceptions or a lot of misconceptions about the profession. And if you like this episode, please share this with your friends and family if you're feeling bold. Don't forget to let us know that in comments and hit the notification bell so you're always notified when we come up with a new episode. We drop new episodes every Friday. And I'm your host, Nikita Daniel. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.